What's up guys, Andrew Baena here, and I thought it was finally time to do a video about my live guitar rig. I kind of have already done this in my final show video for my band Galactic Pegasus, but I didn't do it as a standalone video, so I figured most of you guys probably didn't see it. So here we are. So this is going to be kind of a quick and dirty video. I don't have two cameras, so I'm using a GoPro for the pedalboard angle, which looks a little worse than my standard camera, so I apologize for that. And I'm just going to be using camera audio through the mic, which is a Rode Video Mic Pro, so it's not actually mic'd up to the cab or anything fancy like that. But regardless, I figured it would be good enough to show you guys what I'm doing when I play live. So first and foremost, we're going to grab this guitar here. This is a Solar Guitars A 1.7 BD. It's got an Evertune, and it is permanently in drop A. So I'm just going to show you guys how this sounds when I normally use it. It's a lot of fun to play. It's been a while since I've played through this rig, but yeah, I'm going to show you guys what is going on here. So first and foremost, the pedal board that I'm running is called a Temple Audio board. This is one of the bigger boards. I actually got this from Sweetwater. Shout out to Sweetwater for sending this over to me. It's an awesome board. It's totally modular. As you can see here, it has all these grid holes. And basically there's a base plate that you actually attach on the back of the pedals that screws into the board, so you don't need to Velcro or anything like that. It's pretty cool, nice and fancy. Also, as you can see, my pedal board is pretty ridiculous because it is flashing RGB lights and green. So that is something provided by Temple Audio. They offer a bunch of different modules that you can install in your pedal board. So of course, as soon as I saw that they had an RGB model, I bought it, put it in here. The reason that there's actually two is not necessarily on purpose. So the one down here, which is flashing colors, actually isn't working properly. It just constantly flickers between these three colors no matter what I do. So I reached out to them and they sent me another one for free, which is the one up there, which is just solid green. I wanted both to be solid green, but I'm not too worried about it since they gave me one for free. This is kind of cool as well. Again, another cool thing about it is that the guitar actually plugs into the side here, and then the way that I have it set up is it goes into this first pedal, which then goes through this one, this one, this one, and then it goes out of this pedal into the side of the board, which then goes back up and around into the HX Stomp, and the HX Stomp goes into there. Very cool stuff, super easy, nice, convenient, and compact, love it. Okay, so I guess while we're on the topic of pedals, I might as well explain what I got going on here. So I have a few different pedals. First and foremost is this whammy drop tune pedal. So I use this to get the annoying screeching sounds. So like that, so I got it set up to a 2-octave whammy. I also sometimes do a drop tune. So there was a couple songs that Galactic Pegasus played live in which we also used the drop tune function. That right there was -5, so it was pitch shifting my drop A guitar down to drop E. Next up, I have a Hades Gate from Eris Effects. Unfortunately, these are no longer in production, but that's just a noise gate. I actually have the threshold set incredibly low, as you can see there, because it is a very, very powerful noise gate. Next up, I have two different overdrive pedals, boost pedals, if you will. And I use each one depending on what guitar I'm using. So most of the time I'm using the boost, the Savage Boost is what this is called. But for some 8-string stuff, I do switch it up and use the TS preamp instead. So if I turn that off, you guys will hear how that sounds. So it just really brings out a lot more of those harmonics in those low strings especially, which again, since I'm tuning so low, I really, really like. And if you turn on the, let's try the TS preamp so you guys can hear it's slightly different. the reason I like the TS preamp sometimes is especially on the 8-string stuff, because it also has this low control where I can actually dial back the lows, whereas the boost just kind of boosts everything. So I actually like to get rid of a little bit of the lows when I'm tuned super low. So as I said, it goes through whammy, Hades gate, one of the boosts, out the side, back up and around to the HX Stomp. So the HX Stomp is actually barely doing anything in this case. It is only my amp sim. In this particular tone, I am using the Rev model, which is called the Rev Gen Red. And that's pretty much all that's going on here. I actually do have an additional noise gate, which is called the Hard Gate. And I found that it sounded even better if I had a noise gate before the boost, and then after the boost again, it just tightened it up a lot. So you can see if I turn this off, you'll see what I mean. Hear that? It's got that tiny little squeak at the end. If you turn on that second gate, super tight, love it. Next up, last but not least, it goes into this thing over here, which is called a Seymour Duncan Power Stage. This is the 170 watt version, which is the smaller of the two. But honestly, I've never had this thing louder than half volume. Maybe even a third volume is too loud in my opinion. It is incredibly loud, and it sounds awesome. It also has these onboard EQ controls right here. And that's super useful depending on the venue that you're playing, because if you're in a room that's super bassy, instead of messing around with the HX Stomp settings, you just have a bass knob right there, and it works essentially the same as it would on an amp. When you turn the bass, treble, or mid knobs on that, it basically does the same thing. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Basically, this goes out into my cabinet. My cabinet situation is a little weird. Currently, what I'm doing this video with is called a Panama extended range cabinet. Panama Guitar sent this over to me for free quite a while ago. Huge thank you to them. I'm not really sure if Panama is still doing anything. I haven't really heard from them in quite a while. So this cab is pretty old and beaten up at this point in time. It's got a bunch of cracks in the front because I've toured with it and stuff like that, so it just naturally got beat up over time. Oh well, no big deal. So for the cabinet situation, this is what I have. But honestly, most of the time when I play live, I either don't use a cab at all, or I just use whatever house cab is at the venue, because I'm not very picky when it comes to cabs. I know that's going to drive some of you crazy because you are obsessed with cabs and IRs and stuff like that, but I don't really care that much, honestly. My tone is mostly in this pedal board, and then depending on the cab, I can make adjustments if I really, really need to. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. Quite simple, quick and dirty. Like I said, I apologize for the lack of professionality in this. Like I said, I just have a GoPro for angle 2, so it looks a little ghetto, but it is what it is. If you guys have any questions about any of the gear that I use, let me know in the comments below. There's also going to be a link in the description below, as well as the pinned comment, where you guys can find links to all of the gear that I just showed you guys. I also have a discount code for Aris Effects stuff, so if you liked how any of that sounded, go check them out. Once again, it's going to be in that link in the description below and in the pinned comment. I also, last but not least, want to give a big shout out to all my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. If you guys are ever interested in getting audio downloads, stems, or a shout out on the screen, that is how you can do it and support me on this channel, and it is much appreciated. Again, if you're interested in the Patreon at all, link in the description below. That's pretty much all for today's video. Look forward to reading your guys' comments. Hopefully this is useful for some of you out there who might be building your live rig. I personally really like having this on-the-ground pedalboard system instead of having an amp. I also have a Kemper, but I don't even bring that live anymore. I just use this instead because I find it way more convenient personally. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.